Hello, good morning. We're here in Promesa, New Mexico. Your host, Ed Vargas, with uh, Marcie May and Mary Ingham. Mary Ingham is for County Commissioner, District 2, and Marcie May is for New Mexico House District
Number 28.
number 28. Right. That's what I mean. I said HD. Okay. I'll see how I'm going to get out of that one.
Right.
House District. All right. 28. How are you? Good morning, everyone.
Well,
Good,
blessed.
good. Last time we had Mary and Marcy here, and I said, hey, why don't we hear from both of you? Why would you like, what are the needs that you think that might be there, and how would you go about it so can people have the opportunity to understand it? And also, I would like to see the people, the listeners and viewers, is that really what needs to be done? Do you think we are right in what we're trying to accomplish and bringing a change to your lives? Or if it's okay, we would like to hear about it. If not, how we can make it better, how we can change it, how can we tweak it, how can be tailored to the people that we are going to serve. You know what I mean? So there we go. You have the time in the world right now. Who wants to go first?
So, sure. So, one of the scriptures that I was focusing on this weekend was from Matthew 24:12. And
Right.
it says, because of lawlessness, the love of many will grow cold.
Okay.
And so, what we see and what we've seen is a forced lawlessness coming into our country,
Okay.
and just all these chaotic things going on, and what that does. Everybody knows that when uh, your life is chaotic, you can't concentrate, and we get overwhelmed, right? And then we can't do the things that we are really meant to do, like loving each other, and we see that. And when we see like these um events that are going on, um with the monkeypox, and then this, and then this, and then another, you know overwhelming event,
Okay.
that makes people, it depletes our reserves.
Okay.
When we have our homes, our lives, it's really important to replenish, spending time with your family, because you can't give when you're depleted.
Exactly.
And that's something that I think that's something that has been planned, for people to, um, just overwhelm people, in our schools, having children learn these extra things that have nothing to do with education. We only have so much bandwidth, but I like to look at things psychologically. I'm not a psychologist,
Yeah.
but I can observe, and when we are seeing children that, you have to do this and this and this, and then you can learn your math, they don't have room
Okay.
for math, they don't have room for reading because they're already tired. When you see a child that is hungry, they can't go through and learn when they have those basic needs that haven't been met.
Correct.
Right.
No, I do. I believe so, though. It
Right.
makes it rather difficult and impossible,
Right.
or there is a way of feeling lost and just following the lead without knowing where they're going to get at.
Right.
Where are they going to be taken from here to whatever? Because whatever they hear is nice, but when it comes to the moment, it is different. It's changed. It's not there. It's not for them. It was just they say, well, illusion. We misunderstood that. What? How is that going to become a trust or a fear in the future?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Then we think about, I mean, so much what's happening now is just nonsense. It makes no sense to most people. The thing, the way that the laws are being made, and that we are being, forced into certain situations, and the idea of common sense has been lost, in Mexico a ton and throughout our nation, that
Yeah.
things just aren't just basic common sense, that taking the rights away of parents because a few parents are, having significant
Because
troubles
they don't use
doesn't
it.
make any sense,
They're taking it away because they're not using the or they don't understand it, or because they want to take that away from them.
They don't want them to have that power to be able to manage their own children as peers.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And so that's a lot like with the transgender agenda. When they're saying they're coming in with, oh, children have to be able to do this, or you can't, and because there was an expose with Project Veritas, and they
Okay.
actually exposed like APS
Yeah.
and Alamogordo Public Schools, training teachers to not tell parents if their child is struggling with gender dysphoria. And I'm as a former teacher, what was our biggest complaint? We don't have no money.
Okay.
And so here's a teacher or a counselor that can't afford to take care of a child, yet they're giving them medical information that
Exactly.
can affect them for the rest of their lives, even in a very near future. And so we have this thing that has been put onto these kids. And I believe the driving force isn't just an ideology, because it is an ideology,
Okay.
but this is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Mhm.
I don't know if you realize that. And we had there's a lady that she did the surgeries.
Okay.
And, she said, "I will never be able to see my grandkids. I can have all these surgeries, but it will never change my DNA."
Okay.
And the amount of surgeries that she was saying, it's, at least $1 million in total.
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm a perpetual patient," but they don't tell children, they don't tell people. And, we have those things. It's like, well, when you're an adult, you can do
Mhm.
whatever you want. Absolutely. But, we have people that have gone through that, and they're being told, no, you can't say anything. Um, and so yet we have our children that are being groomed to believe that this is an okay thing. But what it does is it makes the parents the enemy. And that's where our breakdown is.
Mhm.
Our
Mhm.
families are, you know, I think we talked a little bit about it last time. I said we have our families that have gone through the public school system, yet, and they were told, Your parents are stupid. They don't know what they're talking about."
Yeah.
And then now here they're the parents, and they got the kids that have been told your parents are stupid, and now the parents believe that they're stupid.
Yeah.
And so there's a breakdown of lawlessness. There's no respect. And so how can a parent take care of their child if they're already pushed out of the picture before they get there? Who's there to protect the child?
I mean, I would say what right does it give say, for instance, a teacher to be able to say that? How qualified would she be to take that factor that is the most important in the child's upbringing and destroy the image and the respect that you're supposed to have for a father, a parent? You know what I mean? It says, well, your parents are like that. I say, what do you mean? What qualifies you? Do you know that you compared to others, you also are what you're saying about parents? I say, what really qualifies you to have the experience to address an issue like that so important because you changing the mind of a child,
Mm.
that is, if you don't do it the right way, it's going to take a lot more drastic changes when he grows up because he already has a mind polluted with so many things that confuses him more than leads him into the light that he's supposed to walk towards, as he grows up.
Yeah, I was talking to eight-year-old grandson yesterday, and we're talking about, I don't know, I remember exactly how the idea of gay people came up, but um, in he was talking about that's just fine, and there's no problem with that, and we're supposed to like those people, and he said, yes, we are. We're supposed to love them just like God does, but God doesn't make mistakes, and
Hmm.
that even though a person is maybe confused about being a boy or a girl, or that two women and two men, that's not God's way to
Hmm.
do things. But he was clearly had been taught even by 8 that that is fine, that's good, that's we shouldn't say anything negative about that. And so it's kind of, and just bringing God into the situation is
Hmm.
obviously that that's where the confusion lies, is that he is not brought into the situation, and that we are created, by God in his image. And when you throw all that out, then everything, seems to be okay. And what Marcy was saying about the transgender is so much money that, especially places like Planned Parenthood are making,
Okay.
on this whole thing. But other
Mhm.
countries were way ahead of us in this nonsense. They used to have giant clinics, in Sweden, and, places in
Europe,
England,
right.
yeah, all over Europe, and they are closing down because they're ahead of us. They're seeing what the devastation is to the people that make those choices, especially as children. And they're closing down while we're like, hey, money, money, money. And
Mhm.
we've gotten our population, we've gotten our children on board to
Exactly.
believe this, and have thrown God out, just like they have in Europe. They're ahead of us in that mode. We're not quite to that point, but we just see this downward spiral of these things, while lots of somebody's are making tons of money
I
It's a
mean,
it's a
I mean,
at their
I
expense.
believe that I don't know. I guess it's a tremendous confusion through the whole ladder up to the whoever the people who want to have these things that way. Because I will say, if you have so many children that feel that way, why don't we give him a special attention with qualified people? They don't have to. I mean, certain schools cannot be for everybody. I mean, I don't know. It could be probably, but well, how can you benefit from the people who are ready to learn something from the other are distracting the attention that others need to be able to learn? Who are we? What what are we building? What are we forming for this country in the future? What type of leaders?
If I can get
See,
onto that.
yes,
So I forgot her name, but the lady who started promoting the LGBT
yeah,
agenda, and you always have to say, I don't hate people. I don't. But why are we introducing any sexual
Right.
matter, adult matter, into a child's education?
Mm.
You should learn plumbing. My
uh,
opinion, you
exactly,
learn plumbing because what they are pushing is a comprehensive sexuality education.
exactly,
So they always, and I was involved with APS, from
yeah,
2010 to 2013,
yeah,
and a student health advisory committee. And we had a group of us that we would not be quiet, we would not go away. So they made a
yeah,
task force.
correct.
And during in the beginning of one of these task force, what they said, everybody should just leave their moral opinion outside this door. And I was like, you are not holding your moral opinion, your religious opinion to yourself. And really, that's what I'm going to encourage our community to do is um, bring your moral opinion, because basically what they have made is their moral opinion into law.
Yep.
But the
Exactly.
First Amendment says Congress shall make no law, no religion law, but yet they have. And they put it under the guise of, oh, well, we have to not offend people. Well, they've already offended
Mm,
most most every religious group by saying, "W- This is law, you need to shut up."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's something that is, again, we're walking on hot coals here because nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to say this.
Exactly.
I don't care what an adult wants to do. I really don't.
Exactly.
But once you step into the classroom and you project your sexual insecurities onto a child, that's called grooming.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if it's a heterosexual or homosexual or whatever sexual. Why?
Sexual doesn't belong there.
It doesn't belong there. Children and children can only they come into the classroom and they bring whatever's they're coming in from home. Okay. Maybe there's abuse in the home. Maybe there's arguing. Maybe there's a divorce. Maybe someone has special needs.
Mhm.
And they bring that into the classroom. And what this these six bad bills from the referendum are addressing, they brought these things and say, you have to forget about everything that's going on in your life. You must do this because somebody else in the upper ups said that you have to do that. And it really puts an undue burden on children.
It does
Yes.
so.
So
I come from I work for the Milwaukee Public Schools
Mhm,
with the special needs kids.
mhm,
Why do we separate them into a different room than mixing them with everybody else?
mhm,
They have their needs. They are special needs. You
mhm.
know? Some of them, if they can hug you, if they don't know
Oh,
how
yeah.
to control, they can break you. I mean, one kid one day was so happy, he gave me a hug and he was just crushing me. I said, "Hey, would you, thank you."
Let
But
go.
he just didn't know how to disengage from that feeling of giving a lot of love. The same thing, if we don't see, I don't see them mixing all kids in one classroom.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If a kid comes in and he has somebody notice a special need, make a room with qualified people,
Mhm,
people who have the the degree, the experience, the
mhm.
knowledge to sit down and ask him, tell me about to the little kid. Where is the confusion? Probably the kid does not have a gender preference. He was born with one. He wants to stay like that, but he's confused by what the world is showing him, because by hearing you believe, your perceptions change. So in the school, I believe probably they need to make a special area, a special need classroom where all of them can go and receive the same type of education, but with qualified professionals that can really tackle that and says, you know what, this kid, it is just fine. He does not belong in this room no more. Let's send him over there. We talk to their parents and we talk to the child. We brought him into a group like a special need classroom is. The parents come in and you tell them, listen, this is a progress your child is doing. I think if it is a harm, it's really a lifetime special need. You still can show improvement, but you're working with it. But I don't believe that they're supposed to mix all that into a room, especially even worse, to make a bathroom for both of them. They can walk in and walk out. I will never send my son or my daughter to a school like that they have to go to the bathroom and there's a little girl coming in and a little boy going in and out and all that. Imagine the type of traffic and imagine the type of advantage some kids that are well aware of what damage they can cause and they can expose themselves to the little girls that don't need to go through all that. And you as a parent send your little girl and your little girl comes back crying and her world just changed because of that. How can we be careless?
Well, and the thing is that we teach our children, nobody should touch you.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, Instead of telling, don't let anybody touch you, uh, that puts the burden on the child. You say no
Mhm.
one should touch you, so they know, hey, this isn't right. And what we're coming up against again is this
Lack of
some
morals.
well, a lack of morals, or no, it's their morals that are just saying,
Yeah, true.
you know, little girl, you can't say that you don't want someone in there. I mean,
Right.
and we know with Leah Thomas, Riley Gaines, uh, she was saying that these guys, this guy was coming in and exposing his genitals.
Oh,
Like, so we tell children, you're private. This is your
exactly.
private property. This you are to be protected. And then we come with the message, that's wrong. You
You're not
you can't tell
protected.
someone, what is it? What message does it send to our kids? It says that you're wrong. Well, am I right? Am I wrong? And we
Yeah.
can't do that. Um, I think children should be able to um, see if there has been abuse, but the parents also need to be in that mix.
Exactly.
When and I had an instance when my one of my daughters was 9, and we went for a well child visit,
Okay.
and you know the doctor was like, oh, um, we're gonna send you out. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was caught.
Yeah.
And they and I was like, because if you say, "No, I need to be here," then you're the enemy.
They started
Oh,
investigating
you're
you.
you're the problem. And later, my daughter said she kept pressuring me. Are you feel safe? Do you do this? I do feel safe. Are you okay at home?"
Yeah.
And I told my other daughter, I said,
Trying to set up a
I need
problem.
you to tell them that you want me in there, because who is in there to protect my daughter at 9 years old?
Yeah.
What? Where is the protection? So, what they, and I told this doctor, I said, you violated a sacred trust. My family has this.
Hmm.
Now, if there's abuse, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's get this dealt with. But
Exactly.
when I'm just accused because you don't like who I am or
Hmm.
what I believe, you know what? You do that with your own kids, but
Exactly.
not with
Yes.
my child.
Exactly.
And the thing is, with that kind of situation, I mean, I think we need to start saying, and I've been in the same kind of place, is like, okay, then doctor, you pay for this visit. I'm not paying for
Yeah.
my insurance to get thrown out of here.
Mm-hmm.
That
Exactly.
doesn't make any sense. So if I can't be here, then, well, but don't bill this, we're out.
Right.
You
right.
know, we're out. You're not gonna be talking to my child. I mean, when they're 16 and you're still paying for them, that's another issue that you have to consider. But when they're, young children like that, it just sets up a divisive, and the child is in fear of like, why was my mom sent away? And what's really gonna happen here? And then they start asking questions that are very private and very ridiculous.
And so how do we head that off as a parent? You know, being able to talk with your child and building that trust that, I'm not over there trying to hold something over you, but
Hmm.
again, we need to follow the money. Who is getting access? Because and this is, I don't know what the numbers are now, but back in 2010,
Yeah.
anytime your child was seen at a school-based health clinic,
Hmm.
you got 2 state dollars and like 3 federal dollars.
Hmm.
If they can get that parent out of the way, they have access to your child, they get money. And
Hmm.
that is just, our children are not pawns to make money for your school. You guys are there to serve the public, to serve our children, and
Hmm.
not with your agenda. That stuff needs to be exposed because a lot of parents, they don't know. They don't realize that their child is how our schools get money. It's
Yeah.
how these school-based clinics get money. And that's why there's been such a huge influx for our homeschooling families.
Yeah,
They're
that
like,
we need the school choice where that parents can decide
right,
how and where and when their children you know, are educated.
right. Because, here's the thing, if they were doing their jobs, that would be another story. A couple, I think
The,
it's
the qualified people you're talking about aren't there,
they're
especially in
tired of
special
it.
education. They're
They've
gone.
left
Yeah.
because they have been told you can't do this, or they have their hands tied, and no, you can't do this. And many of these teachers, they're like, this is against my beliefs. I cannot teach a child or be silent if I see a child is about to be abused.
Mhm,
And we need to call that out.
mhm.
And I'll tell you, the big driver are teachers unions. And the
Yeah.
other group that I mentioned, Emerge. They got this whole thing. They got it running like a well-oiled machine, and the children are the machine.
I would, you know what I would do? I will say to all these people who want to pass all these laws is, hey, it's fine if you have your daughters and your sons ride with the same people that you want to see by you like that.
Mhm.
I bet you they have it in private schools, something that is not even is forbidden. They got to know first. They cannot touch their kids or nothing like that. It will be opposite of what they letting happen in the
Encouraging.
public schools. They you know what I mean
Right.
with unqualified people,
Yeah.
because the qualified people are going to say no, this is not right, this is wrong. But the school does not want that because, like you said, the financials is depleted and it's not coming to them. You know what I mean? So they don't want that type of argument to
Right.
be able to go against something that they want to need. But instead of saying to the government, hey, listen, we need more money to be able to do this, but not this way,
Right.
sacrificing the mental state of the children.
Yes.
Right. Albuquerque Public Schools budget, at least in the last year, was $2.1 billion.
Hmm.
That's from state, NMPED, which, by the way, NMPED is not the elected body. It's the um, um, New Mexico
Selected.
Educational Commission, which is Mary's
Public
husband.
Education Commission.
Public Education Commission. Those are our elected
But-
officials.
But they're limited to charter schools. State-sponsored charter schools is where they have any authorization, and it's a limited scope. I mean, it's a good board because they
Right.
are elected and they're bipartisan and they're looking out for the children,
Hmm.
and people are flocking to the charter schools, which is good. Charter schools are held to a very high bar, high level of showing that they're teaching the kids, and if you aren't accomplishing those
Charter school,
goals,
you're
you're
saying
thrown out.
private school?
Charter schools in our state, it's a public school, but it's the students are in a lottery system. So you sign up if you want to go to that charter school, and then those students, lottery students are picked out. Obviously, if they're there, they can continue, and also can their siblings come in.
Okay.
But for new people coming into charter school, it's by a lottery where they pick the names out. But they have a particular goal. There's ones that are focused on aeronautics. There's one up, that has an airplane. The students can come out with actually a pilot's license out of
Okay.
high school. There's ones that are military focused. There's ones that are
Nursing.
nursing or
Okay.
drama and art or
Haba,
different things. Yeah,
Haba Southwest.
but their scores have to be at a certain level, and they have a board.
Are they
that
faced with the same things like public schools?
They
Like
are under all the same laws.
the same laws, but do they have the same type of a gender
Mhm.
thing and whatever? Do they deal with that or
They have to, yeah, because they're
that's the
public.
they public?
They're
Okay.
under those laws that we're trying to referend and get rid of. But they have, a, because they're usually much smaller, they have some ability to um, probably lessen the impact of those things,
Okay.
in the charter schools. Um, but the problem with them is most of them don't have buildings. And so that's where a lot of the charter schools, they could be using buildings that are not well used in APS
Yeah.
or other school districts, but they are in all different kinds of buildings, trying to build those up and trying to make it, because they get certain amount of money per student, just like APS
Oh.
does. But APS gets a whole bunch of extra money. Those charter schools get that money per student.
Mhm.
And the ones that are trying to do better than than the regular public schools.
And they include the parents. The parents have to be involved at those schools. You have their number of hours of volunteer time that you have to do, and
Wow.
they're much more and they're accountable every 5 years. They have to get reauthorized,
Right.
and they have to show show the progress. Really are much more transparent in what they're actually doing in the school and what they're accomplishing. And it's a big struggle, but they are doing well. They're doing better than
Right.
just the standard public schools in this city for sure, and across the state.
And I think the big part of it is the parent participation.
Okay.
When so I home educated. I like the word home education because schooling has other connotations with that. But for succinct
Yeah.
wording, public schooling is the big part is you don't really encourage parents to get in there. Okay. I remember I would have when I taught first grade, I would have the parents come in, when we would do our little, you know, um, committees and stuff like that. But now, in order for you to get into a school, you have to have a card. I mean, it's almost like an eye scan to get in there, and because they do not want anybody to rock the boat, and so that's causing some problems. Again, this is like grooming parents. Like, okay, we're the professionals. You stay out there. Yeah, or you want to help with things. Here's some papers to staple. You know, that's not really what is going to make an effect on our children's education. I'm looking over here. These are some stats from Sarah Smith, who is down in Las Cruces and has done a lot of work with um, getting, the referendums and also being a big voice for education. Our high school 2024 or 23-24 rankings, the proficiencies for mathematics in Las Cruces high schools is 9%.
Wow.
Reading is 36%. Um, Oregon Mountain High School's mathematic proficiency is 8% and then 30%.
Wow.
Now, back in 2019, in order to sign up your child to be homeschooled, they tried their little caveat to really squelch our homeschooling community.
Okay.
And they made you, because a lot of people wanted to sign in electronically, you had to sign an agreement that said that you agreed with your tenants. And 10 statements, and one of them was, if you are not doing a good job, you must send your child to a public school.
Okay.
We rose up. I took that whole document and I said, well, if you're going to say this, then you're going to say if a child in a public school is not going up to proficiency, then you shall homeschool that child.
Okay.
And we put up a big stink, and because the people who have done home education from the 1970s up had really done a huge service to our community, because they said, look, you don't have authority over us
Hmm.
in our education. And people say, well, you could just not teach your child whatever not have any structure. No, because typically um, our home education community has done far surpassing what has happened in our public schools. And if anything, you should learn. What are you doing
Exactly.
that how are you doing this with less money and less structure? And instead of demonizing a really huge movement, Albuquerque Public Schools went from 90,000 down to 70,000 the past 5 years because parents were done.
Well, the COVID, like she's saying, that the parents have been gradually pushed out of, of the schools, of the home, of being able to go on a field trip
Mhm.
because you have to have, fingerprinting. And I mean, people who have security clearances at Sandia Labs, but yet they make them go through another fingerprinting and pay money to be able to go, to the school or go on a field trip or whatever. And just things where parents have been, pushed
Criminalized.
out of, yeah. But it's just not, it's not appropriate, the way that that's happened. But during COVID, the whole doing Zoom things on the computer,
Oh,
the parents, God gave the parents, I believe, a vision, a view into what is actually happening and what's being told to those children
uh,
in the schools, where to the point where the teachers say, well, make sure your parents are not in the room right now.
We're gonna
Go close
talk.
the door of your room. We're gonna, and
wow.
they actually
Yeah.
told them that. And the parents would hear this, they're like, what? I'm gonna listen to this. And they began to see what was, happening,
The
which
agendas.
was a huge help, and also a horror to see what had, I mean, that had obviously been going on for years for the seventh, eighth graders that had been having this kind of talk to them for 8 years. Well, it's really,
Wow.
really bad, but it's showing. God, Satan is the deceiver and God is the author of truth. And
Okay.
so that is coming forth, and people, I mean, a lot of people are like, get my kid out of this
Yeah,
nonsense.
they were done.
Yes.
I will just say to the school, tell me what you're going to teach my kid. Let me look into.
Well, they have
I'm
it
I'm,
all down. It's all down
I'm
nicely, but
qualified. I'm qualified to know what I want my
well, they
child to
use
learn.
the twisted words of diversity, equity, inclusion. All those things sound nice,
Yeah.
but then you look deeper and you realize they're dividing people. They're, really not trying to have a group of kids that loves each other and that is, knows about our country, loves our
I'll say
state. Yeah, all that stuff is being pushed
all
out
I
and lost.
with all I hear is where are we going? Where are we gonna what are we gonna have in 5, 10, 15 years? What kind of country we gonna become?
Well, here's the thing. We've got to get our parents involved. Okay. And when you send your kid to any school,
Mhm.
it's really the parents' responsibility to get
Mhm.
in there and say, I want to see the videos. Go watch those videos. I was surprised when my daughter was taking health class at El Dorado.
Yeah.
This is back in 2010, I think. And they, I won't go into how I found out that this video was being shown, except that my daughter was extremely disturbed by it. They were talking about suicide. Suicide. It wasn't about suicide prevention. I'll tell you
Okay.
that much, or what to look for, or if you feel this way. It was a made for TV drama
Okay.
where a child actually hung himself in the school bathroom. Okay. It's called Wannabe. Okay. This is their educational.
Okay.
And she it was so disturbing to her. She was acting out. She was just like, what are you, just mad, angry with me? And I was like, what the heck is going on? And finally, and their little thing, well, let's get a parent's opinion. You can get points if you get your parents to sign this little piece of paper. And she's getting A's in all these other subjects and a C minus in health. I said, what's going on?
Hmm.
Why are you not understanding? And she said they showed a video where a kid hung himself. I was like, my first words were, I'm sorry. I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball. Okay. Parent, you need to stop dropping the ball. Your child's well-being is no one else's final responsibility except for yours. We cannot get on this. I'm so busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got so many things to do. No, your child is your number one priority.
Yeah.
And you have to take responsibility for that.
Mm.
And so, guess what? I went to go get that video, which she didn't want to let me look at. And
Okay,
anyway,
go ahead.
so anyway, with that, she kind of blew me off, and I
Hello.
I was watching the beginning of this video and it was so disturbing. But
Hello.
she my husband and I were watching it, and I couldn't watch to the part where they show this child because it was so violent and it was unrealistic because at that point the father dashes into the bathroom and saves his kid. Well, that's not going to happen in reality. And they played it up that all of these, the parents were jerks and the counselor was a jerk, and this kid had every reason to do this because, kids who deal with that are, the enemy wants to destroy them, and you can't see reality um, in the way that it really is. And they never showed how to get out. It was such a awful movie, and when I talked with her classmates, they were like, "Yeah, I hated this movie. It really disturbed them." And when I talked to that teacher, she was like, "Well, I didn't mean for this video to hurt anybody." I said, "Well, it hurt my child." And so you have to get in there. You have to watch those movies. You have to read those books. You should be on when they are looking at new books. You should be in that group. And
Yeah.
yeah, it takes a lot of time, but that's your responsibility. We cannot check out once we send them into that public school. There's a saying that says if you send your kids to Caesar to educate them, don't be surprised when they come back as Romans. And that's what's happened. World War II, uh, in Nazi Germany, um, they were paying women to have babies for their Fuhrer,
Yeah.
for Hitler.
Okay.
And I was looking through, you have to take a look at these orphanages, these beautiful children, the cherub faces, but empty because they weren't in a family.
Yeah.
Our families aren't, we're not all perfect. We're broken, but we love each other, and that is where that comfort comes from. And to have that taken away from these kids, and the reason why they did that was to be able to indoctrinate them to make them believe whatever they wanted to.
Correct.
And that is what is going on in these schools. Um,
And maybe what we can try to push for, I mean, at the beginning of the school, when they're trying to get the families to, come into the, classrooms, and would be for this teacher to have, here's, here's the videos we're gonna watch this year. Here's the book, here it is.
Yeah.
You can borrow it. You can look at it here in this time. You can ask questions
Uh-huh.
before, the school year actually starts.
right.
Because it is a big, hard deal to try to find out what movie are you going to show my kid? What video is up this week? What is the curriculum? I mean, it's a lot of work, but to have that available to certain
Uh,
parents would probably be really
Yeah,
nice.
it will come to a point that in the future, I mean, I have no idea if I ever put my one of my kids in. I mean, I'm done with my kids, but I'd say, but I God bless me at that point that I put them in private schools,
Mhm.
and I was very involved. I even was the scout person
Right.
at the school, and I talked to the teachers, and I wanted to know.
Right.
And you could
I
afford the private
I
school somehow.
I
Yeah,
made it an issue
that
when
too
my
is
kids
part
were
of it.
little, always be in their life in the morning and and take them to school. I think if I ever miss one day of the whole entire life, I'll say only when I travel for business. But I used to listen to them and I used to hear him. I said, no, it's not him. Where you got that idea from?
Right.
Tell me a little more about it because I was the kind of person very cheerful. Get up in the morning. Hey, how you doing? How are you? What do you think? Do we do this? Do we do that? And I had him in the right world that I wanted for them to be happy. to get up and get mama do breakfast and what have you. But when I heard something different, I said, "Hey, what did you get that idea?" Because I know in my family,
It didn't come from
they
there.
didn't come from there.
Right.
There's no way that you're going to convince me. Probably we made a we made we kind of were careless and let you watch a program and you caught it from there. That I can say, hey, that's the last time you saw it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
But you're minding that. That was, that's a beautiful, picture.
Mhm.
What
but not all of us. I mean, you got to invest though,
Yeah.
because right now I don't worry much about them because the years that I have with them, I used to say, God gives me 18 years. I'm a kid. I'm going to do everything I can. When it gets to 18, if I didn't do what I have to, I got nothing to claim
Right.
on saying, hey,
Mhm.
I mean, I lost my chance.
Right.
So I never wasted a moment of it
Right.
because I want them to say, when
have
you're
that
18 years old,
foundation.
hey, now you take care of me.
Right.
I,
Right.
you know what I mean?
And you're still there for them, but
I
it's
still there for
you're a
them.
coach now. You're not.
You know what I'm saying is, I became a friend
Yeah.
when they get to be 18. I disengaged from being a father.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a father figure after when they grow up to a certain point, they want to have a friend. I
Right.
think, and I like that though. You know what I mean? Because they were able to tell me anything as a friend.
Yeah.
Because as a father, they couldn't come and cross that barrier.
Mhm.
But as a friend, they just say, what do you think? What do you have? I never made him feel bad what society want to push down my kids and to make him feel, hey, I used to tell him, hey, that's a talent. Don't let anyone. I support you. If I support you,
Right.
there's no one in the world cannot go against that. I said to my kids, I empower them. And they says, wow. And they became, I don't say that I'm not part of their life, but they're well off. They know what to do. I know the decision they're going to make.
Mm.
It's going to be the right one.
If they have a godly foundation,
You know what I
that
mean?
is the difference.
So I'm not going to be surprised. I even told my brothers, I said, listen, my kids are raised to respect. But the day I know that my kid had a run in with any of you, I used to, all my brothers and sisters there.
Right.
I'm telling you, I will say something is wrong with you, not with my kid. Because my kid will never, but I told them one thing to my kids that under no circumstance would allow that one of my brother or my sister will impose on them their will against them if they know that's wrong.
Mhm.
I said, raise up and make your word respectfully. I don't want them to yell and be in a constant about even worse fighting. But if you know my son crossed the line,
Mhm.
I said, I know who I come to talk to first, not my kid, because I raised him.
Right.
I know my kid. So my brothers used to, oh wow. I
Yeah.
mean, you want to believe your kid? Yeah, you're right. I
Mhm.
know who I have as a
Right.
kid, but you're not going to tell me what kind of kid. One time, one of my brothers, my younger brother, got upset with me. And he came in, told me off about my kid something wrong. And I said, well, that's good. Thank you very much. I said to him. And he says, why, you're not going to do anything about it? Hey, I'm the father.
Mhm.
I'll see the proper time to address it with my son. But certainly I'm not going to do it in front of you, yell at him, scream at it, and make him feel uncomfortable and cause a harm for the life that he'll live just to satisfy that you are my brother. Hey, I appreciate that you're my brother. And I appreciate you brought it to my attention. But the way I'm going to address it to my son, it's different. It's going to be a one-on-one and have a conversation and get to know, hey, how did he get to that point?
Mhm.
And say, not that he failed. Where did I fail? Where did I lead you wrong? You know what I mean? And correct that. I say, son, I am sorry. I didn't think about it. I probably didn't pay attention to you at that time where you were telling me that and you wanted advice from me.
Mm.
I said, but this is what I think about it. And he says, okay. So I'm okay, daddy. Yeah, you're fine. You know what I mean? You gave me an opportunity. I used to say, a son will make a father a better father, and a father will make a son a better son. But that relationship has to exist. You cannot take it away from a family. You know.
And that's missing for so many children,
Yes.
fathers particularly. But and then when the father's missing, then the mother has to be missing to some extent because she's trying to carry
Oh
that
Spread
wow!
load.
out.
I used to be the
Yes.
utmost respect. and they never saw. I never contradict my uh, my wife.
Right.
Never did. They
Right.
used to come and tattletale to me and says, "Hey, Daddy, my mom." I said, "You want me to go and speak in your behalf?" He says, "Well, yeah." I says, "But did you take the time to address that issue with your mother?" He says, "No." Then until you do that, then you can't. It's unfair for you to ask my help because you're just going to you're just asking me to be unfair. Go and address that with her, and she is being unreasonable. You know, then I like to listen. You know what I mean? But I never cross my wife's authority ever because that was paramount to the education of a child.
You're together and
Right.
cooperative.
Exactly. They saw that coming against one, it coming against both of us.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't. I was like, you're not pitting us against each other. Don't go there because we will come
And that's what our
together.
government from the very top seems to be doing that with
Yes.
countries
Exactly.
of like, wait, you're speaking out of two sides of your mouth, US government, wait.
Right.
What is the real plan here, and come at that with unity and with a good plan and a good heart. And I think from the top down, we're seeing those kind of situations that are like worldwide trouble, so it's not just,
No, I mean, I
families
think we're in
themselves.
bad shape. I think I've been away from my kids are grown already. Right now, the youngest one is about 30, 32, 30 years old.
Uh-huh.
I said, well, I mean, I've been off, so that's why I don't want to be sensitive about what's going on right now. But when I have my time, nobody told me what to do with my kids.
Right. And see, I think that is something that was definitely attacked
Yeah.
on that. I'm gonna say kind of what I've seen, because we raised our kids as best we could.
Yeah.
And when they got into the upper uh, university system, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's an attack. Um, and I've seen it with multiple of my friends. We
Yeah.
all had our kids were in the same age group, and where they are um, indoctrinating our young people,
Yeah.
they go into the college arena full force, and the indoctrination did not stop. Um, there was one lady that was talking about what they have been doing with our young women. Our young women are really targeted because, anybody who's gone through university education, I mean,
Mhm.
you're working hard. It's a lot of work. Emotionally, you're dealing with your female hormones going up and down. And some of what these institutions have done, especially in the nursing community, is they tell the women, well, you're so emotional. Here, let's take some testosterone. And then we wonder why our women are saying, well, maybe I'm the wrong gender.
Wow.
And this is across the United States. They're instead of saying, "Hey, let's learn how to manage your stress.
Exactly.
Let's do some sports. Let's do this." No, they're medicating them instead of like taking care of the whole person. Again, where's that money coming from, and who's getting money for that? And I have
It's big
I have
business.
I have two very dear friends that happened to their daughters.
Yeah.
One left her kids and her husband because she felt like she wasn't a woman.
Wow.
This is the stuff that's going on. It doesn't stop at our high schools. It's a really an onslaught
Yeah.
against the family, against the rule of law. And again, it goes back to that scripture, because of lawlessness, the love of many will grow cold. And
And the first love goes cold as God, and then
yeah, and then our
personal
families
relationships.
and our families are really the building blocks of our nation.
Right.
It's what brings stability. And that's something that is I wish I and I'm I with a godly jealousy, I'm like, yes, Now I have one kid and he's doing good. We're still tight and, but when the other two,
Mhm.
they're gone because they took it hook, line, and sinker.
I see.
And that's, I just and I say that because maybe a lot of times parents who that's happened to, we feel like we missed it, but we're on a spiritual battle. And
Yeah.
so we're gonna pray. Those kids are still loving them, and we're gonna rejoice with those ones that are, they're doing well because, it's a battle.
Well, what she was talking about with that movie,
Mhm.
we had that at our house. We had an actual, our oldest adopted son committed suicide by
Mhm.
hanging. And
Mm.
2 of my children at this point still, they're adults, but
Yeah.
very that movie, so to speak, of seeing that in real life
Okay.
happen to my son,
Yeah.
has, affected our family greatly. I know that suicide
Of
in
course
New
it does.
Mexico is just
Of
beyond
course.
belief, but, and I think it puts in as a Christian family that the kids, well, like, my one daughter just basically has put God on the side and said, "He should not have let that happen. He could have stopped my son from doing this." And we said, "Yes, he could have, but we have free will on that." But he still loves us. He still loves, our son. And but our second son, his half brother, is still on the struggling train, and that
Mhm.
hopelessness and drug addiction and jail and all the things that can come, from those kind of hurts. And our state is so
Yeah, it's
full
tough.
of
Tough.
that, but that the hope in God is the only answer. We can have all the programs and all the counselors and all the drugs, pharmaceuticals for anxiety and depression and whatever, but none of those things can solve the problem. What you're saying is of sin in our in
Mhm.
our
God.
our world, and we need God. He is our hope. He is all we have, and that when we build from that foundation, if He's our rock, we build from that foundation, then our families can survive and thrive. And it's as humans, as two people who are running for office, we're not here like, oh, we have all the answers. All the other people in the state don't have
Nope.
any answers, but we have the answer,
Yeah.
which is God. And as godly candidates, that's our hope, is the truth, and letting people know what's happening, what the Bible says as far as what families should focus on and how they can be involved, and then to provide ways, for families, for individuals to be able to um,
Yeah.
have hope,
Yes.
to not be feeling lost, because a lot of things we talked about are just overwhelming. You feel like the avalanche is coming down and you're just like a little speck under this giant
I think
frozen snow, but it's not the case because God is in control.
exactly. I think if we don't stop and see what's going on right now, it's who's to say in about 15, 20 years, what's it going to be about? 5 years?
5 years.
Oh my
5
God.
years. And so we need people to be praying because, our schools are an institution. Our government is an institution,
How can it
but
become a
we
business?
are, I'm sorry.
How can it become how did it become a business?
So
You know?
it was never meant to be the church. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We as the church have our charges. And so it starts with us. We line ourselves up with the Lord.
Exactly.
We pour our hearts out to Him, and because of an overflow, that's how we can reach out to people, to bring the hope, um, not a false hope, um, and because that's really where I think suicide comes out of, is a feeling of hopelessness, and there's nothing there. We lost, he was 11 years old down in, southern New Mexico during the lockdowns.
Yeah.
Okay.
What on earth is an 11-year-old feeling suicidal for? And we
Yeah,
lost
really.
him, and because they took away the structure, and,
And his
people
friends and
and
his
his
ability to
friends and
interact with people
ability
and
so,
Wow.
that's what I put out, why is this public school system, uh, who gives anybody the right to say you cannot go to school? That's slavery. Frederick Douglass said that education is emancipation,
Exactly.
and they stole that from our children.
Yeah.
That is really some of the big things that I'm like, nobody should ever have the power. One person should never have the power to lock down a whole entire state or country. No one has that right. And, I've had some people say, well, that was in the past and, we got to move on. Yeah, we have to move on. But if we don't address what happened this last 4 years, we will do it again and again. No, they will do it again and again.
And she's still, our governor still has
She's
emergency
still-
powers to do such
Yeah.
things.
And as a legislator, we should, we could put forth this thing and say, you cannot do this. And guess what she can do? Veto. No, that needs to stop. She had 3 days. According to New Mexico Constitution, 3 days of emergency powers, and they set that up because of just things like this. So we have to know and get ourselves educated. We have to be informed.
Oh, I say though, we are so concerned, in the schools mixing so many things that derail people from the meaning of a educational school. So many distractions, so many rules, so many anythings, and why is government so afraid of putting a godly person in power?
Because people
Why don't they mix? Why don't they give room to more godly people in their world? You know what I
because
mean? Because
people who have open God are untamable.
exactly,
They have their people of faith. It's not Christian. It's not.
Climate.
It's their
green
climate
agenda,
God because they want to be in control.
exactly.
They complain, oh, well, the Christians, don't you remember the Catholic Church had the indulgences? Well, what is a carbon credit? Nothing but a modern day indulgence to control people.
Yes,
And so, but we were meant to be a self-governing people. That's what our job was. The
exactly,
Constitution works best when you have self-governing people.
More.
Yes, and moral people.
exactly.
And so if you have people that don't, they want to throw off the fetters, they want to be lawless, what's going to happen? The basic fruit is you're going to have the love of many growing cold. People don't care. That book, 1984, um, I didn't read that till I was an adult. It was probably on my reading list in high school, but I never read it because I used to hate reading because from history they never taught it. They taught it as just forms or whatever. So I read this and there's the part where there was an explosion in the building and there was a hand that was left in the plaster rubble
Hmm.
and the guy just kicked it because his love had grown cold.
Yeah,
When we take the focus off of God, the focus off of each other, the focus off of the rule of law,
Life is not meaningful.
nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
No
And
image of God.
so why are they so surprised that our kids want to shoot each other? You can't
They're
put
okay.
gun laws because they're lawless.
yes,
When you teach children to be lawless, they will not obey.
Right.
They won't respect each other. And there's, when you're told that, there's no such thing as God, when there's no reason for you to be here, why should you have any hope? But when you know that someone created you in his image for a specific purpose,
Mhm.
when someone comes along and says, you're just a loser, there's nothing that you could do that could be of importance. When you know someone loves you, it doesn't matter what that other person thinks. That's why they get God out of schools. That's why they tell children, don't tell your parents, because the Bible specifically says, children, obey your parents in the Lord. And they don't want that because when people think outside the box, that makes them dangerous to a totalitarian government. And that's what they want. But people will not, they don't like to be controlled.
Exactly. No, no, I mean, it's amazing though. I started just when I listened to you thinking about where are we going to be. I mean, I'm not thinking about myself, but for others.
Little ones.
I mean, what kind of world are we leaving behind? How much power is powerful enough
Mhm.
without helping others?
Right.
I mean, God had all the power in the world, and He was for the people.
Mhm.
Yes.
For us to live in harmony, to be able to to work and share the good that we produce, so others can benefit and so on, and keep producing that and preaching that into other through generations, so we can better the world. But it looks like this country in the last, wow, 25, 30 years, it's really taking the instead
The
of,
foundations are crumbling,
yeah,
but the church
Right.
is
they're taking
still
the big
very,
factor out,
yeah.
which is the church.
But if the church stands up, begins to understand these things, knows where we are, doesn't feel like they can be knocked back and told to stay in
Hey,
their building and don't speak to anybody outside. If we start preaching the gospel and realizing we have power
Right.
from him, that in his name, and we have power in our constitution as we the people, that we can make changes, and it'd be a little bit at a time, but it'd
exactly.
be beating back the forces that are thinking that they won. Satan already, he knows he's lost in the long game, but he feels like he's winning in America. But if the church stands up, understands what's happening, and votes, and looks into it and finds godly candidates and votes, stands up for what's right, goes to the school, goes to the
Right.
school board, goes to the county commission and the city council and says, wait, I have a voice. You may give me 2 minutes, but I'm going to read some scripture. I'm going to, bring
Yeah,
God's light into this place, into this government. We can make a difference. It's happened in places like Virginia, where they got so sick and tired in the schools, and they elected a governor that was completely unexpected because he believed in children and believed in families, and that education was very important.
Mhm.
and I believe
Parents
in
had
it.
rights,
I,
and
I
that's why they
I'm
changed it all around there.
I'm willing to bet that he's a godly person. You know what I mean? There's only a godly person can do that. I mean, for a family, for the children, for the good of others. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
here's we're going backwards. I heard so many things about the governor. I mean, I said, wow, so much power put to so many contradiction in the state. So
Yeah.
instead of making people open their eyes in the morning and says, wow, what a wonderful world.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That we live in. And
Yes.
it's
Quicken
got
our
to
faith, give us-
it's got to get back to that that projection that we were at. And I believe that when I said 25 years ago, is remember when they took God out of all the TVs and all the movies and all
Mhm.
that. Now it's rarely that you see that. It's got to be private, and you're gonna have to, it's a different one. I used to enjoy the
But there's a
time.
lot of people making movies now that are, you know, good quality and also good
No, but it should
morals
be
and stuff. But it should be the whole throughout the industry. But it's
exactly. People
so much
probably
corruption.
wonder that are listening to us what God has got to do about all this. He has no
Yes.
idea. But it looks like, hey, I mean, for all the reasons that you think that God is not the one that is called to be among all this, is the same reasons and more to tell you that that is the right choice. It
Yes.
is. So, I mean, I would not do anything without God. God leads my way
Yes.
more now. Imagine before, I mean, it isn't that I wasn't with God. I just thought, hey, I think about Him. Okay, I go to church one. All right, good. So I'm in His list. but it's that's not the case. You
Yeah.
got to live every second, every day, because evil is there to
Yes.
take the opportunity in every single chance that you give them.
Yes.
And and I believe then I was a good father. I
Mhm.
can I never taught my kids how to steal, how to lie, how to hurt, and how to rob anything. My parents, my father, and my parents
Mm.
taught me to pass down that value to them.
Right.
And for me, that was
Yes.
paramount.
Yes.
And anyone in the world that really put a hand on guiding my children into something different stood up. And I
Mhm.
said, "Oh no,
Nope. Nope.
Right.
that's
Gonna
not
happen.
it." Yeah, I mean, are you telling me that I'm dying to provide the best of my life to them, and you just out of a whim, you're gonna come over and disrupt that and telling me that you're gonna cause a different world, and then if that if that doesn't come out quite well, you're gonna tell me I gotta sweep all the problems that you're gonna create in my family. That's what it is, though. I
Right.
don't want him, say, for instance, have a child and go to school and come back and says, you know what, Daddy? I think in the school I had I don't know, I had a bad dream or whatever the night before he went to school. He kind of said, hey, about gender, and suddenly they come up with a gender that probably with the trust that I built in my kids.
Right.
He kind of mumbled into me, oh God. I said, the school system is lucky that I don't have
Right.
a young child in their system, because if he will be there and they will be doing that to my kids, wow, I will go full force on them.
Right.
I'm
Right.
telling you, I would not, nothing will stop me, because
That's
they
what we
are
need to do.
trying to destroy the most
Yes.
precious creation of all things that
Right.
God gives you the blessing to enjoy it. And you're going to have somebody else come over and disrupt that and destroy that, or medicate my kid and
Right.
change his way of seeing life,
Right.
and telling me now I got it. Probably, you know what you just did? You just caused something that is going to take a lot more effort to correct it
Yes.
than the least time that you took without knowing, for another reason different than mine, to to create
Use.
your kids with values,
Right.
character, discipline, obedience,
Right.
faith in God.
Yep.
You're telling me now, oh boy, I would have put the armor of God. I said, you and I, we got an agenda. And you know what? And if you tell me I see you in hell, don't be surprised. I already sitting there waiting for you. That's what I would tell them. So that's how I want
Right.
people who are listening to us to be able to learn everything is happening to us
Right.
and it's coming down to us, and be able to say, listen, is that what you really want? Some parents probably don't care. I could probably say not all of them.
Right.
Some parents probably don't have the financials
Mhm.
that they sacrifice values and character and discipline and things like that for their kids, and let others take care of that. But what do we have kids for then?
And
Right.
that's a big problem in our
Why do we
country.
have kids if that's not our intention?
We don't have, we don't even have, we're not even having enough children in the United States to keep our population. You have to
Mhm.
have 2.1 is kind of an average of number, like a couple needs to have, if all the parents had 2.1,
2.1 to
they could
keep the
keep the population
Right.
going. In Europe and other ones, they put motherhood and fatherhood down. Those are not respected. And having children are not, a blessed gift from God.
Right.
They're just an inconvenience. They're going to keep us from having to, go on vacation, or they're going to cost us too much money, and all this nonsense too that the governments of the world have put on, that not this love for this beautiful child that's made in God's image, that we can do what you were talking about to bring them up in the fear and
Admonition.
admonition
Right.
of God
Right.
and the Lord. Yeah, and that I mean, and with abortion, with the way that we see babies, that they're just a tissue, a thing,
A father,
something.
a burden.
Yeah, that we have to change that very view too, that we need to love children and have children and take the focus off ourselves and put it onto a child and be able to stand up for what's right and for what they need, not what we need, and then have a family.
Okay, now it's a question. I imagine now hearing all and talking about all this, what does it make you feel inside yourself? Like the, that what is your goal for the people that are listening to you? I mean, I imagine
Mhm.
I would feel impotent when
Right.
government is telling me that. I said, you know what? I don't want to even say much because I was going to say, lucky government, I'm not in politics because they will have a tough going because I stand for values. I am a
Right.
godly person.
Mhm.
I will stand for what God is doing in my life because He's done wonderful things. If before my parents did that because they were godly people,
Yeah,
and then I went to the world. I
went
went
off
for
the track,
fame, for
yes.
money, for this, but I kept my values. You know.
One of the one of my things, and I wanted just to mention there is a book. I went and listened to, his name is Corey DeAngelis, and Mary
Yeah.
went to him, to his presentation, and he wrote a book called The Parent Revolution.
Mhm.
And it's talking about how we are to take back this arena of education. And all the other people that are against school choice and they don't want to do this, the politicians, oh no, school choice is bad for our public schools. Guess where they're sending their kids? Private schools.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they want to be empowered.
They want them to
They
read
want them
and
to
know
read and
math.
to write, and to
Yeah.
do math. And so my message to the people is that you are empowered to take that role. In fact, that's kind of what I've been working on my messaging, you know,
Yes.
like, it's vote the M's, Marcy May,
Yeah.
empowering education, empowering parents, empowering our families, empowering healthy choices, that you're
Exactly.
not stuck. And you know what? That's something my dad
Mhm.
always said. He said, "You're not stuck, Marcy." And what these other things and what we've gone through has all been a lie to make people feel that they are powerless against people and authority and
Yeah.
against the government. If anything,
Mm.
I want, I've told my people that hopefully will be my constituents.
Yeah.
You know what? The reason why you're supposed to have local control is so that if I'm not doing my job, you can go
Right.
knock up on my door and say, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Exactly.
And that's what
That's right.
people should
Yeah.
be doing. They should be on the bullhorn saying, "Hey, what are you doing this for?" Because you know what, right now, the people who are in control, they're more committed to groups like Emerge, telling them how to vote instead of the people. What the heck is that all about?
Exactly.
That's not right. That's not the Constitution. And by the way, we don't have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic, which means that we are governed by, of, and for the people, not
Yeah.
by special interest groups.
Yeah.
And so, um, I know this has been like a really heavy conversation here today.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes when you don't know all those things that are going on, you think, man, I'm all alone. Uh, Nobody else is going through what I'm going through. Yes,
Yeah.
we are. And so now it's time for us to move forward and be empowered to do the right things and empowered to get our elected officials accountable to us.
Exactly. And you know what else though? You need to have people committed that they're not going to vouch or they're not going to change horses in the midstream.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? People who are going to say, this is not who I am.
Right.
That's what you're committed to. Yes, you're committed to do something good, but your values, who you are, has to prevail, and it cannot be compromised. Like other people in somewhere else in the world, they think, hey, everybody has a price. When you
Mhm.
don't have a God, you
You
don't
got it.
believe in God, you do have a price. You know what I mean? So I would say,
We need to empower, and people need to know that they are empowered. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about
Yes.
our Constitution. I said it's that little pesky piece of paper that protects you against me and
hmm
me against you
And us against the
and
government.
against the government. It even protects the bad guys because they have to go through the rule of law due process so that they are not over convicted for things they didn't do, but let's bring the
Have a
accountability
consequence, yeah.
for the consequences and the crime that they have done. And
yes.
let's bring that accountability. There are so many people that are so done. They're just done with this nonsense. I talked to one lady who getting signatures, and she's like, "Well," I said, "Are you a Republican?" And because I needed to have Republicans say, "I want this person on the ballot."
hmm
She's like, "Well, I'm a Democrat," but she said, "These guys have gone nuts.
Yeah.
I got to change my party."
Yeah.
Right? And I want all of our Republicans, look, these are people that are changing over.
Yeah.
We need to really respect those people that have said, I'm no longer that party has left what I believe in. They've
Mhm.
left my family values.
Yes.
I want someone who's going to stand for life because I believe that many people in our New Mexico they're conservative.
Yes.
They value life. They value la familia. They value the culture of taking care of your family and not just leaving that to the government.
Right.
In fact, that's why we're targeted.
hmm
We're targeted by Planned Parenthood and New Mexico or um, the U.S. Education Council for Sexual and Information, SECUS. Um, and what they did was they actually targeted each state, and New Mexico was on there. They had their little line of things to
hmm
chip away because when you have people of faith, that's
It's harder. It's a hard
it's
burden,
hard.
hard
They don't
barrier
like
for
it.
them. Yeah.
They don't like when people stand up for what they believe in.
hmm
So that's why. So be bold. Be
Yeah.
bold and say,
Mm.
I don't agree with that. Because the other side will never apologize. They will never apologize for demeaning life. They will never apologize for, destroying the family. So
hmm
why should we be afraid? Joshua said, be strong and courageous. And we need that.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
And once all it takes is one person
Yep.
to stand up. Thanks for, I can't tell you how many people who said, Marcie, thank you for saying stuff. Thank you for putting that out there. It encourages
Yes.
people. I feel that way too.
Yes.
Why are we letting them
We're
do
putting up
this
with
to
this,
our
yeah.
families? Why are we letting do
Exactly.
that to our kids?
It's correct. Though. I mean, I just want people to hear that they have a vote.
Yes.
Make that vote count
Yes.
Yes. Don't stay at home.
with their values, upbringing, their character, the discipline, their identity as a family. Don't let no one take that away from you. And
Kids.
whatever you put that vote is whatever you're going to trust that people understand
Right.
where you're coming from and what the results you want and what else you fostering for the future of your kids. You just don't want to find you're concerned right now to find somebody who cares and wants to make a reality of the things that you want for them. But what after that? Are we progressively growing into better things,
Mhm.
or is it just a seasonal,
Right.
thing that is going to happen now and it's going to have a change? Look at Biden. That's a big change from the previous.
Right.
It was Donald Trump was before Biden, all right? And
Mhm.
now Donald Trump wants to come back, and I think he's a change man.
Yeah.
He's eh, I'll say I would love to see what he's going to make of this country. He's going to change a lot of these things, and some of the things that are, you know, I would rather probably say when the new president's on, because otherwise, the power is there, but I
He
really
needs a backup. He
He needs
needs
us.
people behind him throughout the country at the lowest level, all the way up to the, senators in the US. We need to have people that believe
so
this.
many things came in place with him. I know that so many things that have never been considered before,
Right.
a different type of people. There is more people, the less people in this term with Biden, it's less godly people put in the seating.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I would love to see that change, and I believe it will be a change. Donald Trump will make that happen. He is a godly man.
Right.
He he's
Right.
got an encounter with him somewhere,
Yeah, he
somehow,
did.
somehow, and he knows what it is. So he says, "Oh wait, I think I was in the right direction, but now I want to get back." God is. I mean, uh, I think that he will be a great change for the country to be able to see that happen, and he will be one of the people to support what you're trying to do for the people.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So now is a chance for all the listeners and viewers to fight for your own lives, for your own values,
Right.
with your own for your own morals. Don't let anyone come in to inflict, because the fact that you don't speak up, because you choose the wrong people to lead you into better things instead of to whatever you're going to right now, because things and the way it is right now is it's not the right direction. It's
We
not.
are,
Not a
we are,
time, not a time to sit back.
no,
We can't. And you look at Marcy, me and I, and several of the other candidates, I mean, older, I'm a grandma, 5 kids. I mean, I don't want another job. I don't want money. I don't want power, but I do want better things for our country, for our state and for the children. And that's why we're here. Would we rather be sitting drinking coffee on our porch and for me
right.
watching the weeds grow? No, we would rather do that. We would
Yeah.
rather be there watching, children and taking them to the
Yeah.
swimming pool, but instead we have to be we chosen to be here, but we need everyone else to have the same feeling like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'd love to be remodeling my house or getting a new furniture and
Right.
painting a picture and whatever things that you would really like to do. But right now, we're not in a what do I like to do? It's what do I need to do? And we need everyone to get busy and stand up because it is a dire time. It's a hope-filled time because of God, but it's also a dire time that we don't have a choice to sit around and take care of ourselves and focus on ourselves in our own home. We have to focus outside and to get busy and get to work.
Exactly. No, you know what government fails to realize and fear at the same time
Mm.
is the power of the people.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And we
Right.
need to show that through stand up for
It is
what's
there.
right.
It is there.
Yes.
And at any given moment,
Yep.
everything they try to do can come down.
Yes.
Because you know why? Because we pay their bills
Right.
and we have an opinion,
Our
Right.
money.
and everything is for us. So either they clutter our minds to be able to be somewhere else than instead of the place we're supposed to be,
Yeah.
you know. So hey, we're getting into something with this program.
Yes.
We
Right.
get it, we getting to make people aware that they have a choice, aware that they have a life, aware that they can vote, aware that they realize, first of all, that there is a God.
Mhm.
And without God, we're not going to go anywhere. Trust me. I come
Right.
I come full circle. A man
Yep.
who had everything, a man who God is making me the best that who I am right
Right
now.
now, such a time as this, like
I'm telling you, and I don't know, even the pastors in here in Albuquerque and all, it's they're making me believe. I said that God is doing something to me, that I preparing me for something. I hope He's preparing me to help people,
I
That's
believe
why
you
we're here.
are.
to
Yeah, I
reach
believe
out
you
to
are too.
people, to let them know, to make them aware with people like yourselves, Mary and Marcy, that people who care, who want to make a difference, who want to make your vote valid and count, not just to be an statistic like it is right now. You're a number right now, So just think about it. That if you think you as a person, as people, and want to be for yourself, for your kids, and for the people. And we all unite and gather and enjoy it and be happy.
Mhm.
And everything we do, knowing that our future, which means our kids, are well taken care of. They are got the right morals. They don't have to inflict any thoughts or anything. And at least I will say, to a change like that to happen, it will take time. But somehow we're going to have to get started, because right now we kind of derail ourselves with so many things right now that they're not supposed to. I'm surprised. I Now that I think about it, I came to this country about 35, 40 years ago, and it's coming to be worse than the country I came from.
So many, so many immigrants who come,
You
and
know,
they're like, we,
That's supposed
we
to be like
came,
this here.
we came here to escape that.
Yeah.
And why are you guys doing
hey,
this, right?
you're going to tell people in South America, in Europe, that you going their vote for their kids, they got the right to go and disrupt it, and apply certain law to tell you keep away or put unqualified people. That doesn't happen yet out there. It does not. And I know the people down south in Latin America, they're not going to say, government, are you going to come and tell me? Oh, I think we got the wrong the wrong person leading us right now. And fortunately, right now, the presidents that are really doing something for the country, they are with God.
Right.
And it sounds strange, it sounds cursy, it sounds whatever you want to believe it sounds. I'll make a mockery about that. It's not, because without God, we're not going to be anywhere else. So, hey,
Isn't it beautiful that I think it's Millie? He was like, I'm I'm my first thing is God help me. I need
yeah,
wisdom. And so we
yeah, that's the guy from Argentina, you say?
right. And so coming through and even like in Europe, they're waking up. So
Poland and Italy.
Poland, we are waking up. We need people to wake up. We are at a pivotal point in our history.
Exactly.
We we need to strike while this iron is hot. And I believe that the globalists, the ones that are pushing their agenda, they have like overreached and they're going to fall.
Mhm.
But we have to do our part. We got to get out there and vote. Remember in World War II, Germany had all their irons on the fire and they were going, they
Yes.
got themselves spread out too thin
Yes.
and they were weakened. So we need to be able to be strong within ourselves, be strong in the Lord and the
Yes.
power of his might, and do our job and get out the vote and then stay engaged.
Like it used to be, though.
Right.
Like it used to be years back.
Right.
There is nothing was done without the parents.
Right.
Nobody dared to cross the line
Right.
about, because that was the circle of the family.
Yes.
And what does the enemy wants, the devil? Destroy the family.
Because if we can be divided,
It
you
will be
can-
conquered.
we will be conquered. And so we've got to join together. And we have so many people that from all walks of life, they're like, we're done. Come on over. Come to my side. We'll stand together, united. And
Yes.
you know, that's where our hope lies. Our hope lies in that thing that God gives us
Makes sense.
to join.
Okay, now let me ask you this. What do you need from people right now, for all the ones I know that listening? And this, I put you in the worldwide radio station that could be listened anywhere. And there's a lot of people within the parties that they wouldn't want to hear some of the things we said
Right.
is being said. So what would you think people you need for people, from people, and people need to know to be able to get up and say, hey, I don't want that anymore. I want the change. I want this better.
Prayer is
Yeah.
the first, that, that for people who are believers, who are stepping into these arenas, that
amazing.
we need
Mhm.
prayer from all over the world. would
Yes.
be remarkable. We need people to stand up and read God's words and know what his heart is and what he, wants us to
It's
do.
amazing, though.
And then strengthen our churches.
Right.
And when those things are becoming stronger and full of life, then you have the ability to, and for us as people that are running for office, to
Exactly.
then breathe that God's life back into our government, into the quote politicians, which we don't really consider ourselves that, but that's where we are.
Mhm.
But to breathe that life back in, and one of my favorite scriptures is trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge
Amen.
him. And he
Amen.
will direct your path. And so that each of us has a path that God has set out for us. And part of the path right now is standing, walking, and standing up for what's right in every arena, every place, at your church, in your family, if you're connected to school, if you're
Mhm.
connected to a business, in all those places, to stand up and to breathe life into those places with God's help. And then, of course, everyone needs, some money to put up signs and to, get the word out of what we're trying to accomplish, to host an event, for us to bring your neighbors in and say, hey, I think this person's on the right track. Let's support her or him
Yes.
and doing what God wants them to do. And then, of course, just voting is one of the biggest things. Get registered at the right place in the right home, and,
Right.
and then vote for the person. Know who that right person is.
Right.
People need to stand up and say, this is what we want. This is where we want to go.
Yes.
And this is where we want to be led to. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Because
Yes.
that's where we all want to share at one point in our lives. For me, I don't want to say I don't care. Like, first of all, I did my job
Mhm.
as a father. I got great kids. I'm happy.
Right.
God is with me. I'm powerful. I don't fear, I fear none.
Right.
Okay. I know that I get storms here and there,
Mhm.
but hey, I learned that when I'm with God, there is, I am the storm, I tell the devil. The devil says, you're not going to be able to withstand the storm. I looked at him and said, man, you're missing the boat. I am the storm. So you're not going to derail me when I'm
Right.
with God. God is my savior. God is the lead, is my leader. God is everything.
Yes.
I learned not to play God's role
Yeah.
because when you want to, it's like government.
Right.
They're playing God right now.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And then only God and God, that God wants that to for them what
Right.
they're doing. That God really wants that? No, God doesn't want that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Wants He wants
It's
different things.
proper in the proper position.
Hmm.
It should be serving our government the way they wrote it. It was the government of by and for the people.
They have to serve the people. They say
Right.
if you didn't,
For a period of time, not forever, not to be there for
yeah,
50 years. It's not a job or an
No.
occupation. It's a time to
Or
serve.
career.
Right.
Right.
and the government should understand that if you didn't live, you don't live to serve. You don't serve to live. So
Right.
you know what I mean. So let's make sure that we all bond together and we put the right people to do things for us. And I think we do have the right people right here in the station right now with Marcie May and Mary Ingham. Mary for uh, commissioner for the county of Bernalillo for District 2, and Marcy May is for the New Mexico
Most district.
House District. But I got to get the right.
You
I
know,
got to go back to my like when I was in in grade school.
Right, and I-
Right, 100 times. House
Me
District,
too.
House District.
Me too. I
28.
had to kind of make it a little shortened so that because it's the New Mexico House Representative District 28.
Uh-huh.
So
House District
and
28.
right.
So this has been good though. And listen, we can do it on Tuesday every time at 9 o'clock because I have plenty of time until just about 7 minutes to start another program. We got about a hour and a half, 2 hours. And you know what are we going to do? I don't know if you want to have somebody, member of a family, a father or mother, come over here and sit and be able, out of the cold, not knowing much, hear you out and say, "What do you think about this?
Mhm.
What do you think about that?" And if he's the person adamant about something, why would you want that? What value does it belong to? What results are going to be at the end of the road on what you really want? Are you, is it your choice? Is it your view? Is it your what you want in your life, what you're living for? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What is the purpose? What's your purpose? And I don't know. We probably
Pray about that.
can have somebody that I don't know.
Yeah.
Have somebody that you know of and they don't like to expose their view, like to talk about whether they think the way you do or whether it doesn't think
Mhm.
in the view that you want to do things for the people.
Sure.
And then we can have a conversation and grow from there and say, hey, listen, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Next time it could be somebody else. It says, no,
Mhm.
I want to be there. I got something to tell that Mary and that Marcie. Okay,
Sure.
hey, come
If
on,
you need, yeah.
I'll dare you do that, and we'll be happy to listen to you and you know, have a have to learn the right of your vote. You know what I mean? Where your vote has to rely, the changes and the differences that it will make by choosing right than wrong. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Okay, we got about 4 minutes, 1 minute and a half each one of you, and then you pray now. I mean, Marcy,
I
Why
prayed
don't you
last
start, why
time.
don't you start, Marcie,
I'll
in a
start.
minute, and then I'll pray.
So, anyway, I believe that what we need to let people know is that they're empowered.
excellent.
You don't have to be afraid to speak. Is it hard? Sure, in the beginning, but as you practice, you become encouraged and you're actually encouraging other people. Um, I wanted just to add, make sure that you go to our website, to send us the emails. We're having different events, things to get our face out there.
Mhm.
We've done multiple events, just to reach out to the community. I have
Mhm.
another one coming up on the 6th. We're going to go and do some tie dyeing with one of our communities.
If you have a graphic
I'll get
and
that
a little
out to
write
you.
up,
Sure.
send it to me. I'll put it in
Oh,
social media, and then it's a lot of people who
sure.
watching us
Sure.
nowadays on this radio station.
Right.
Really?
Right. My neighbor is going to do a 4th of July event. And he's like, I want you to come over. He wants to invite my other person over there. And
Okay.
I said, "Well, it's your shindig. Let's do this." But bringing community together. It's
Excellent.
really, really important.
Let's do that.
And so
Welcome that idea.
yeah, those are things that we need. And to always not be afraid. It, the time to be afraid is done.
Yep.
I'll say.
That's one of the things that I think Trump has just done, because he has targets all over him, and you know what? He like eats it for breakfast.
Exactly.
He's like, "Come at me, bro. What else you got?"
Trump,
Right.
Trump is the kind of person, the way, I see that his way of his life is right now. He knows that the enemy is out there,
Big time.
that the
It appears very powerful.
exactly, and then he decides not to resist the people, is just to avoid them. So now you can only do that when you have God in your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Temptation is there, the bad is there, but he does not put himself to resist it. He says, "Hey, that's your problem. That's not mine. I have my agenda. I'm going to do it without you, of course,
Right.
but with the people, for
Right.
the people."
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we need to pray for him for this Thursday when he's in that debate, that
Mhm.
God would speak through
He
him.
will be fine.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
good.
but we really want him to, just
He's
know
way
that
too
God is with
smart
him.
Oh yeah.
beyond what these people can understand the scope of who he is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I've been here, I'm thinking more about ways that the people can have their voices heard. And we're talking about, we the people. And I'm thinking, like for me as a Bernalillo County Commissioner, that each of the senior centers and the recreation places is in the county could set up on like tonight is the county commission meeting at 5 o'clock, and they allow for 20 people to have 2 minutes to speak about anything.
Mhm.
And it just a way to set up those kind of places, because in my area in the South Valley, there's a lot of people that don't have a personal computer, much less do they have a chance to have the ability to get on the Bernalillo County website and ask to speak ahead of time and get set up to be able to do those things. That maybe there's ways we can reach out as a community to allow people to have more of a voice to speak, to the commissioners. And so I've just been thinking about those kinds of ways that we can allow people who feel like they don't have a voice to be able to,
Okay. Okay. You have it.
it's time for me to take a
Okay.
anyway, just but those kind of ways that we can really, really reach out, and like having coffee with the family. I mean, okay, I'm having, 10 people over for coffee. Marcie May, Mary Ingham, can you come over and talk with people? And we're willing at whatever level to come over to people, to speak with them, to tell them and encourage them to be a part of this movement and this ability to stand up for what's right in New Mexico and also in the US.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, why don't we do the prayer and then
Okay.
this has been great. We throwing a lot of good things out there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And power for the people.
Yes.
Right.
That's all we say. Go ahead.
So, dear Lord Jesus, we do love you. We thank you that you've chosen us as your children, and that we are empowered with your word to speak truth and to do what's right. So we pray that for all of us here, and for all the people that hear this message, that they would be empowered to do what's right, to stand up for truth, stand up for you, God, to stand up for their families, and for our country, Lord, that you would give each one of us a job, make it very clear to us of what you want us to do and say, and that we would rise up and be the people of God that would go out and do the right things, Lord, with only with your help and in your voice. So I just pray, Lord God, that you would bless each of the families and homes, especially the children that are out there, that you'd protect them and guide them. In your precious name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Well, we'll thank you, Marcy May and Mary Ingham, for being here. I know that I will do everything possible because it's been interesting. And
Thanks.
if I can be
Thank
the
you.
choice, I want to be part of the choice. And you guys are the choice, the right choice. It's un, and confusing. I say people cannot confuse. We have two godly people over here that needs to identify in you if the things that they want to do is the way that you deserve as people, and be able to begin or continuing the little effort that other have before and be shut down and halfway through the process is a time to pick up values in the family. It's a time for unite us and all the efforts and be able to stand up and say, no, I want this, I don't like this. Why are you doing this to my kids? No, I don't want that to happen. I
Mhm.
want to be safe. I want to have I want to come home and find smiling kids, not confused kids,
Yes.
kids coming from the school and things like that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that next time we gather here together on next Tuesday, what is it going to be? July what?
Second.
July 2nd at 9 o'clock in the morning with Marcy and Mary for Bernalillo County Commissioner, and this time I'm going to say it right, and Marcy May for House District 28,
Mexico, yep.
New Mexico. And
Right.
New Mexico House District
There you
28.
got it.
There you go.
Okay.
That's the one.
And I wanna just I forgot the guy's name, but he spoke at our Republican convention. And he said he was from Virginia. Can't remember which state he was from. And he said, you cannot vote for me, but I can vote for you.
Makes sense.
He was a US Congress person.
Yeah.
And so maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we're not in your district, but we can vote for the policies in New Mexico.
Mhm.
And so you may not be able to cast your ballot for us, but if you get behind us and support us, we can vote for these values for you.
Mhm.
And that affects all of New Mexico.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks so
See you
much.
until next Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the morning with Marcie and Mary. M&M.
M&M.
There we
Vote
go.
the M's. Vote the M's.
Vote the
That's
M's.
vote the M's.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.